What's good, everybody? It's your boy Wavy. Stay Wavy TV. I hope y'all staying wavy out there. Click that thumbs up button. Leave a comment after the video. I want to talk about Jimmy Butler, right? So the Miami Heat, they just lost the NBA Finals to the Los Angeles Lakers. Congratulations to the Lakers. Shout out to LeBron and AD and Rondo and the rest of those guys. Played a great game 6. They did their thing. They spanked the Miami Heat. I expected a much more competitive, closer game because I just felt like Miami had what it takes to make it a game 7. But unfortunately, the Lakers were just too much. And when you go up against a team that has superstars, unfortunately, this is what happens. The thing that surprises me, right, is this Miami Heat team, going into this season, they didn't have one superstar in their roster, not one. Most of the team is full of young players. You got young guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo. The oldest players on this team is Goran Dragic, Udonis Haslem, who barely even plays. I think he should retire. You got Jay Crowder, if I didn't say him already, and Jimmy Butler. The rest of this team is very young. Kendrick Nunn, very young. Tyler Hero, very young. Duncan Robinson, very young. Bam Adebayo, very young. Another veteran they have is Kelly Olynyk, who does a great job at playing this role. So, for a team like that to dominate the Eastern Conference and go all the way to the NBA Finals, it's amazing. And I have to give credit specifically to one player, because I feel like this guy doesn't get his respect, and it's time that we give him his respect. So a lot of people are not going to agree with this video, but I don't give a fuck. This is my honest opinion, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I believe that Jimmy Buckets, aka Jimmy Butler, proved this season that he is a NBA superstar. Now, the reason why I say that is because he has a lot of key components that make players an NBA superstar. Number 1, he's a great leader. Number 2, he holds his teammates and himself accountable. Number 3, he hits clutch shots when his team needs it. And number 4, at any given moment, he can take over the game and be unstoppable. Now, we can't call players like Russell Westbrook and Paul George, and I'm not gonna. Okay, I was gonna say another player's name. I was gonna go too far. You know what I'm saying? Let me not go too far with this shit. We can't call players like Paul George and Russell Westbrook superstars when these players don't show up when their team needs it the most, right? You look at Paul George. The Los Angeles Clippers and Kawhi Leonard made it a priority to get Paul George in that team before the season started. Why? Because they wanted to make sure that they went up against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Kawhi Leonard had a choice. He could have went to the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis. He could have stayed in Toronto, the same team he won a championship with last year. Or he could go to the Clippers. So instead of joining Batman and Robin, LeBron and AD, and staying in Toronto where, he never wanted to be in the first place, he was traded there, he decided to go to his hometown in LA and join the Clippers so he could be the face of that team. But he felt like they needed one more piece to win the championship. And he felt like that guy was Paul George. Now, what a lot of people don't know is Kawhi Leonard also wanted to get Jimmy Butler to the Clippers. Jimmy Butler turned that down because Jimmy Butler wanted his own team. I'm going to tell you why. Jimmy Butler had a horrible experience when he played in Philadelphia, right? Last season, Jimmy Butler was playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. And that team was stacked. They had Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick. They had a lot of pieces on that team to win a championship. But unfortunately, Jimmy Butler wasn't the number one or even the number two option. The number one option is Joel Embiid. The number two option is Ben Simmons. And the number three option is Tobias Harris. So Jimmy Butler wasn't able to have the ball in his hands as much as he wanted to because they got so many great guys on that team. And they had, like I said, they had all the pieces to win the championship or at least go to the finals. It just didn't work out because the coach wasn't using that team the correct way. They weren't using that team the right way. So Jimmy Butler ended up leaving. JJ Redick ended up leaving. And Jimmy Butler went to the Miami Heat, where he became the face of that team. Now, we've seen Paul George, who people say is a superstar. Last year on his 2 seasons that he was with OKC, didn't go to the conference finals. Gets traded to the Clippers, doesn't go to the conference finals. Not only does he not go to the conference finals, but he plays horrible in the bubble. He played horrible. Field goal percentage was horrible. He was shooting threes that was hitting off the side of the backboard. You had this guy coming out saying he was depressed and he was thinking about leaving the bubble because he couldn't deal with all the hate he was receiving. Paul George has proved that he's only good in the regular season, because the last time we've seen Paul George play at a superstar level as far as the playoffs is when he was in Indiana, when he went up against the Miami Heat, when he was on the Pacers. That's the last time we've seen a superstar level Paul George in the NBA playoffs. That was years ago. But yet, we still look at this guy as a superstar, right? Jimmy Butler dominated the Eastern Conference, brought his team to the finals, went up against LeBron James, and almost made it a Game 7. Game 5, Jimmy Butler dominated that game. Dominated. Scored 40. Dominated. And he's made these young guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. I mean, he's made these guys look like they've been in the league for years. I mean, we've seen Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson step up and just hit the nastiest threes you've ever seen. Even Kendrick Nunn in Game 5 stepped up and just was hitting crazy step back 3-point shots in defenders' face. What I like about these young players on the Miami Heat is it's not like they're just knocking down these shots wide open. They're hitting these shots in people's face, bro. These are tough shots that Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson is knocking down, right? And I'm gonna tell you guys why they play so good. Because Jimmy Butler's leadership and him being able to see, okay, my team needs me to put the team on my back. Jimmy Butler does that. And when you have a player like that can put the team on his back and knock down a clutch shot, whether it's a 3-pointer, whether it's getting to the free throw line, whether it's a post-up shot, because that's what Jimmy Butler likes to do, that is a superstar level player. Paul George can't do that. Paul George can't put the team on his back like Jimmy Butler did this year. We've seen Jimmy Butler before our eyes evolve into a superstar basketball player, and this is the perfect fit for Jimmy Butler. We've seen Jimmy Butler play for so many different teams: the Chicago Bulls, the Timberwolves, the Sixers, and now the Miami Heat. This is the perfect fit. And I honestly feel like the Miami Heat are missing one piece to the puzzle. Just one. They have to get at least one superstar. That's all they're missing. They just need one superstar that can get this team over the hump. But it can't just be any type of superstar, because this Miami Heat team, they're so physical, they're so mentally tough, they all get along, they all have chemistry. You can tell that these guys on the Miami Heat, They like each other off the basketball court and on the basketball court. When you look at that Los Angeles Clippers team, you can tell there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. You know, you had Lou Williams, Lemon Pepper Lou, who got in trouble for going to the strip club to get some lemon pepper wings. You know, he got suspended. He didn't come back to the bubble. Montrezl Harrell, you know, he had a family loss. Rest in peace to who he lost in his family. He came back late to the bubble. You know, you got Paul George, who just didn't show up, who just looked weak in the bubble this year. It was just so many different things with this Clippers team, not just in the bubble, but in the regular season, that just showed that team just lacked chemistry. It just lacked chemistry, and I just think it's because there's so many players on that team that have big egos, like Patrick Beverley and Montrezl Harrell, and all these guys have crazy egos. And it's amazing how players that have never won a championship in their entire career have egos. And the one player that has won a championship, Kawhi Leonard, he doesn't have an ego. And that's why that team had so many issues, man. But with that Miami Heat team, nobody has an ego, man. I just want to say, man, congratulations to Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, that entire Miami Heat team. We got to give Jimmy Butler his respect, man. He played his ass off, man. And he's proved that, you know, he's a championship contender. He's proved that. I mean, he did with Giannis. I mean, guys, if you don't believe Jimmy Butler is a superstar, look at the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks on paper has a better team than the Miami Heat. But yet the Miami Heat dominated them. They dominated the Boston Celtics because of one guy, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a superstar, man. Makes his teammates better, can hit clutch shots, can drop 20, 30, 40, 45, can hit three-point shots. Because a lot of people, I think one of the biggest critiques about Jimmy Butler is he's not a good shooter. He was a damn good shooter in the bubble. He was hitting down threes in the bubble. He was hitting clutch shots in the bubble. He made all his free throws in the bubble, right? I think Jimmy Butler this year, man, he really took it to the next level and proved I'm a superstar in this league, man. And, you know, players like this, we got to give them credit because there's too many players out there like Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and there's many more of them. We just throw around this word superstar when these players are not superstars. They're not. They're just not. You know, just because Russell Westbrook can average a triple-double for the season does not mean he's a superstar. It just means he's a ball-dominant ball hog that just compiles up stats. Does not mean he's a superstar. It does not mean he's a superstar. If you don't make your teammates better, if you can't hit clutch shots, if you don't have a positive impact on your team as a whole, and you can't put the team on your back when they need you the most, you're not a superstar. You're just not. You're not. You're not a superstar. So with that being said, man, it's your boy Wavy. I'm out this bitch. Skirt.